Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. Tell the Truth, episode 35. The DG, CJ, myself, D-Mac, man. We're back here to talk middle of the summertime. We get into some scheduled preview stuff today, as we will be talking about the NFC opponents that the Chiefs will face off against in the 2024-2025 season, man. But first off, DG, CJ, how y'all doing, man?
A minor. No. They not like us now.
We had a whole not like us session before we started.
Oh
man.
A minor.
All right. Nah, I'm doing good, man.
Let me hear you say.
Shout out to all the depressed Laker fans out there today. I know today was.
Now why you got to do that, gang? Now why you got to do that? That wasn't even necessary. This ain't about us. Why are you talking about this right now? We're not even.
I know it was rough last night watching Banner 18 go up.
I mean, I already knew they were gonna win. I picked them to win.
It stings a little bit right here.
It is what it is.
Right here. Pray for us. We gave them damn picks. They gave them the two superstars they got, man. Pray for us. Shit.
Yeah, that's right.
Nah, I'm good, man. I'm good. Living, chilling, good, man.
That was disgusting to watch. But I was happy for Tatum. That was nice.
I mean, it's good to see players get what they deserve. JB been hooping for a long time, so we knew eventually they were going to get one. So they should have had one 2 years ago. First the Warriors. They dumb for losing that one. You let Jordan Poole outplay both of you. That was disrespectful.
He got an A minor on the way.
A minor. You feel me? So, Celtics won. They were the best team. I picked them to win in 6. I thought Dallas would get 2, but he said he got one out the way.
He got a minor on the way.
Shout out to Jason Tatum about to have
Jason Tatum winning this.
He got LMA pregnant. Got himself his ring.
Got a ring and
he's about to get $300 million, and he's about to get that
ring, baby, on the way. JT
summer, dog.
Good. Shout out to JT. You live straight, bro. Hey, I can't hate on that black man.
Cash it out, dog. Hey, I be
running around. Go back to the loop, chilling, my boy.
I'd be running around citing Kanye and Kevin Garnett too. I don't give a damn. I'd be saying it too.
JT better be all summer like this.
I guess we'll never know because I'm winning, boy.
JT chilling, bro. And he on the USA team
like no other. Yeah, he about to get that gold medal too.
Oh yeah, he about to have the best summer ever. A chip, a baby, a bag, and a gold medal. What's the better summer than that? Like
a bag, good.
He about to get a bag. Like there ain't nothing more you could have. Only thing would have topped it if you would have got Finals MVP. He would have had the whole suite. That's the only thing he needed.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Which I do think he should have, but that's a time.
I would have gave it to him, but I'm not mad at JB.
I'm not either. I'm not mad at it. It was close enough to where I wasn't.
I thought that triple double almost locked him. I thought he almost got it.
It's good. It's good.
Hey,
good watching with
you, hey, Chris, tell Mark to hop in the chat and tell him stop acting like an OVO fan, like he a diehard for real. Like he really rock with Drake like that.
Oh,
Mark
man.
acting like he getting paid.
I hope he is, honestly. He done fired up like 8 tweets today.
I got ridiculed on Twitter for it too.
Right now.
I made like 2 or 3 tweets about Drake, bro, and boy, like
flooded.
Don't come for the K Dot fans.
Flooded. The Dot fans is outside.
Drake, like
they outside.
They walk around like Debo.
Would you say about Dot?
All right.
Would you say about Dot? Cuz?
We are.
Would you say about Dot? Cuz? Oh,
that's how it was.
Would you say about Dot? Cuz? Oh, that's what I thought. You ain't from Boston?
Start the show.
We gotta go. We gotta go.
Say something about that. Say something.
I'm afraid. All right. You know what? God. I put it on the Chiron. I think we could all just DG. What do you want to do with Isaiah Bugs?
Bro, Isaiah Bugs got to get up out of here, man.
Short and sweet. To the point. CJ, what do you want to do with Isaiah Bugs? It ain't nothing.
Playing it down.
What are we doing?
You ain't even done nothing.
I'm just glad we can.
You ain't played a snap, my boy. Bye.
Simply cut him. That's all.
That boy got a ring.
They already signed next defensive lineman coming out of minicamp. Just cut him. It's simple.
Bro.
Isaiah Bugs, peace and blessings. Good luck, dog.
That's good.
So, the second topic, as far as news is concerned, and this one is a little bit more nuanced. is pertaining to the Chiefs. And the ability for the Chiefs to have positioned two states against each other, which, in my opinion, I saw coming months ago because that's exactly what billionaires do. They figure out how to get the best deal. Thank you, Russell Mom. It's very nice of you. And that's exactly what Clark Hunt is doing. He has figured out how to get Kansas to pit against Missouri. And as of tonight, June 18th, that the momentum is moving more so in the Kansas side, given that they just had a passing of their House legislator for a Star Bonds bill, which bunch of political jargon, but basically means that they'll have a lot of funds to give Clark Hunt for his new Arrowhead Dome. And simply put, this is a very controversial subject, both on both sides of people of the border and from the aspect of what this means for Chiefs fans in general. So what I'll kick to you guys is A, how do you feel about everything going on? Yeah, you get it. Yes. And B, do you guys have significant concerns about the culture of the Chiefs and everything that surrounds going to Arrowhead shifting significantly for a new dome, going to Kansas, everything possibly surrounding these changes in the future, which is far off from that aspect, but still.
Nope. Because 60% of the season ticket member holders are in Kansas anyway. So guess who's spending all their money at Arrowhead? Not Missouri. So y'all can sit here and be mad all y'all want. Most of the people who spending that check, they already live in Kansas. So they ain't got no problem moving over there.
Yeah, the realist. I mean, the realist in me, saw this coming, especially when the vote didn't get passed. You obviously knew then they were. I'm not, because the realist in me knew, what was gonna happen or whatever, and I've come to accept it. Probably in about a decade here, the Chiefs are gonna be out in Kansas near the Speedway. Um, but the fan in me is the I would say the little kid fan in me is very disappointed just because you grow up going out to Truman Sports Complex, going to Arrowhead. I still remember my first game, going with my dad to watch LaDainian Thompson put up like 4 touchdowns on us, and Ronalds and Phillip Rivers and Antonio Gates pretty much dominate us. But there's a lot of nostalgic feelings in Arrowhead. So to see a place like that pretty much be gone here in the next, in the future, it's not a great feeling. But I also understand that how business works. Um, you know, I still feel like Chiefs won't be far, or their Royals as well too, and you can't blame them. Especially when you're not getting the answers that you want to get from voters and people who live on this side of the state line. Um, all I can say is that if anybody is mad and they feel confused and they voted no, I'm just say I told you so. Like, so this is how I feel about it, man. It is what it
Yeah.
is at this point. Gotta move on.
Yeah, it's completely understandable. It is business at the end of the day, and Clark Hunt is a successful businessman, and in part obviously because of his family and obviously the wealth that he inherited. But rich people don't go broke for a reason, man. Like they know how to operate in a business
Stay
sense.
rich.
Yeah, like they know how to stay rich.
Yeah.
I don't. It feels bad to put it this way, but I do truly believe like that first vote was simply to give the Chiefs their rubber stamp so that they could pit Kansas and Missouri against each other. It was a plan. I don't think it was ever all that realistic because I knew in my heart of hearts that Clark Hunt wanted to tear down Arrowhead and create a new dome because that was going to be the most profitable thing for him to do. And it is what it is. It's tough, everything that's surrounded it, people being a little bit misinformed or underinformed or misled, things of that nature. It's unfortunate that it happened, but it's a reality of business sometimes. And it's a shame, obviously, the public has to get put in that position. But reality situation is, I think that a dome will be cool for events. It may end up bringing a Super Bowl to Kansas City, which it's one of those things where is Kansas City big enough to have a Super Bowl? I think it is. I don't think it's too far off from other places that you've seen Super Bowls at. Obviously, if the stadium is in quote unquote South Overland Park, which has been floated out or whatever. I don't think it's an insane thing. It's not that far of a drive. It'll be a lot easier to get there than it was for the people that were staying in New York to get to Jersey. I'll tell you that much, as somebody that actually lived through that. So I wouldn't be too concerned about it from that standpoint. So I'm not surprised that this is where it ended up going. It is actually going pretty much exactly as I expected, where Clark Hunt's going to get his dome and he's going to get it with the best deal possible. And so I'm not surprised whatsoever. And the real situation is, I do think that given that he's going to get that dome, he's going to make sure that the tailgating culture of the Chiefs kingdom is going to stay intact. I think that he does place a premium on that from that standpoint. So there'll be plenty of parking lot space for everybody to still get their tailgating done and everything. It's going to have luxury seats, and that's going to mean more prices or higher prices. And it's going to be, maybe some less diehard fans in there, and that's the reality of having a new stadium. The acoustics, we'll see what ends up happening there, but it may or may not be as loud. We'll see. So all of those things are going to be question marks. It's going to be a different experience. It always is, especially when you say goodbye to a 60-year-old building like Arrowhead. That's as amazing as it is as far as actual traditions are concerned for families that have been going there for 3, 4, 5 generations at this point. So it's different. It will be different, but it's not going to be the end of the world, because I think it'll be an upgraded facility for the players and just for the experience in general. And I'll be looking forward, I guess, by that time, hopefully, I may even have kids by then. Now that I think about it, because it's going to be in like 2032 to take them to the new Arrowhead Dome. DG is probably going to be on like the third one by then.
Let's get the first one out the way. Let's take care of this first one. Take care of this first one first, and then
we got to start the
we'll
one.
think about that.
Worry about number one.
Yeah, let's worry about number one.
Man.
I totally agree, though. I think sucks that see Arrowhead go, but at the end of the day, to see a new dome stadium out there thriving, and I'm still gonna be a fan. I'm still gonna go. I know that may piss some people off, but it is what it is. So
y'all complaining
shout
about
out
Super
to
Bowl
the
rings and facilities.
Kansas Chiefs.
Kansas City Chiefs still gonna be Kansas City, man.
Yeah,
at the end of the day, I don't mind the facility. I want to see Arrowhead stay just like everyone else, and the nostalgia of driving into the parking lot. Like I tell everybody, Arrowhead is a once in a lifetime experience. I don't think there's any tailgate experience in the NFL, really in pro sports, that matches what happens coming to Arrowhead, or especially on a Sunday afternoon when you get there 7 a.m., 8 a.m. parking lot. It's a one-of-one experience. But at the end of the day, there's so many other teams in the league that have new stadiums, have new locker rooms, have all these great facilities and great practice areas for the players, and have nothing to show for it. So if moving to the stadium is the aftermath of coming of us winning 3 championships, so be it. Because I'd much rather be dealing with these problems than have all these facilities and nothing to show for it. So we bringing us and them 4 rings over to Kansas. So I'll take it.
Just win all the Super Bowls over here.
Just win the Super Bowl.
Just make sure y'all win all the Super Bowls on this side.
So let's think about it. Mahomes is
like 2032. We get like 6. Just make sure all of them on this side. They can do it.
Mahomes is 28. He will still be playing, I think, in that new dome. He'll probably be around 40, at 38 or 40, probably around that. So he'll probably have some dome years in him. But look, I agree with you guys wholeheartedly. It is a unique experience to have a place like that. It's like Wrigley Field or Fenway Park. Especially as far as the NFL is concerned, like obviously Lambeau is the stadium that's always brought up, but Arrowhead ain't that far behind as far as historical significance and obviously how long it's been around. So it is a unique experience, and that means that it's going to be different when it ends up changing over. But I will say I don't really get everybody, or some people, I would say, because it's not a lot of people. Some people that are saying that they wouldn't be a fan of the team if they moved. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
It sounds good. You still gonna go? Don't lie.
You still going out? Like, right? It's right out there by the. Right.
It's 20 minutes.
Mahomes wins ring 8, and you gonna be like, nah, I'm not rooting.
Okay, stop.
Okay. Y'all acting like the stadium's moving like 20, 25 minutes away. Relax. You acting like it's really far. Jesus Lord.
Okay. I'll believe it when I see it. So yeah, it is what it is. I am looking forward though. If they want to make all these changes, let's finally get an alternate uniform. Why not? You just get a nice little black jaw, and we can have a lot of fun with it. It would be nice. I would not be upset about that at all. So Speaking of teams that did end up actually moving recently, as we get into the Chiefs 2024 schedule,
This
this
guy,
this
right?
he's a clown. Clown.
This guy.
Oh
Oh,
man, Jesus.
That's right,
The
Roscoe. That's right.
that is
always.
correct. The Atlanta Falcons. We will be playing the Atlanta Falcons in week 3 of the 2024 season. That will be a Sunday game that's currently scheduled to be a Sunday night game in Atlanta, September 22nd, I believe.
It
Love that
will be.
stadium. Beautiful stadium. Yep, it will be. And we're going to see, hopefully, we're going to have a lot of Chiefs fans coming down there. I will be
KC
making
takeover,
that trip to
baby.
ATL. I hope to see a few more Chiefs fans as well. Shout out to Atlanta, and it'll be a very fascinating contest. So, kind of how we want to go through this is just give you a little bit of background on where they finished last year, and we're going to do this for each of the opponents that we face upcoming season. Some of the key moves that they made over the off season, some schedule context as far as when we're actually going to be facing them, rest, who's going to be coming up before and after, and then just key matchups on each side and what to look out for when this game doesn't eventually roll around. So last year, the Atlanta Falcons were, in fact, I believe it was 7-10. Yeah, 7-10. Obviously, they did not have a great season with Desmond Ritter leading their offense, ended up trading him away to the Arizona Cardinals. As a result, they needed a quarterback, and they said, "I'm gonna get 2 of them. I'm gonna give you another one just in case." So they spent $100 million on Kirk Cousins, obviously recovering from the Achilles injury. For right now, everything sounds to be going well, and they expect him to be ready for the start of the season, certainly for the start of training camp. And then in the draft, they decided to draft Mr. Michael Penix Jr. Very high in the draft, to say the least. Top 10 pick. Yeah, and they were like, "Yeah, Michael Penix Jr. is our guy, except he's not going to be the guy, but he's kind of going to be the guy. Just in 2 years' time,
Slayman.
he's going to be the guy." And so, very interesting draft pick, I will say. They got one of my favorite interior defensive linemen in the draft as well, and Rook Owohoro out of Clemson, and they also took Braylon Trice out of Washington as well. Outside of that, they did also make some major moves as far as the offense was concerned, getting Darnell Mooney from the Bears and Rondell Moore to fill out their wide receiver core. Their major move, though, would be hiring Raheem Morris to head up their coaching staff, defensive coordinator from the Rams, and he will be taking over their entire team. He also brought over the quarterbacks coach, I believe, Rams, or offense coordinator. I think it was quarterbacks coach Zach Robinson. To kind of remake their offense from that standpoint. But look, this is a team with really good offensive line, team that had a solid defense last year, certainly improved by the addition of Jesse Bates. And they're looking to take over this NFC South division that has obviously struggled in recent seasons, to say the least. So, all that context being said, DG, let me know as far as matchups on each side, what exactly you're looking for as far as the Atlanta Falcons are concerned.
Yeah, I mean, going into this, probably into this game's week 3. I would assume that Atlanta is probably still trying to figure things kind of out with having Kirk Cousins down there as the guy behind the center. But yeah, they got a lot of young weapons. Bijan Robinson obviously showed what he can be able to do. That'd be a tough matchup for the Chiefs going in. A guy who can not only run it, but catch the ball out of the backfield. And once he gets an open field, good luck trying to tackle him. So Chiefs have to be very sound, fundamental, and making sure getting him to the ground. Then on the outside, the receiver, Drake London, Darnell Mooney. They added some speed with Darnell Mooney coming in as kind of the deep threat. I think that the addition of Kirk Cousins is probably going to help a guy's game like Kyle Pitts, who I believe has been in tight end purgatory for you know most of his career at this point, with Arthur Smith being at the helm. But now, who's the coach now? I forgot.
Raheem Morris.
Yeah, having Raheem Morris, and then I guess not being so offensive controlled at this point should open up some things for Kyle Pitts. I would look to obviously see him take a step and a leap this year, to probably being in one of that elite category as far as tight ends go. Tough matchups, man, all around the board. Good offensive line, offensively. Yeah, they're gonna be very, very tough to stop. Kind of just hope that still there's some chemistry issues, I guess, for them to figure out at that point in week 3. So hopefully that works out in the Chiefs' favor. Defensively, I know that they were improved last year, like you said, with the addition of Jesse Bates, and then get a guy like who's always been a consummate pro, and a guy like Grady Jarrett, which I think is he coming back off of injury this year?
Yeah, he did. He did miss a few games last year.
Yeah, missed a few games last year, but still, man, still a tough nightmare matchup. I think they drafted Dallas Turner as well. Or
Oh no,
was it
no,
Dallas?
they
No,
should
it
have.
was,
Dallas Turner went to the Vikings, but no, that was a pick.
But they should have drafted Dallas Turner. You're
They,
right.
who did
they
they
ended up
take
picking
at edge? They took an edge. didn't they?
Braylon Trice.
Braylon
From
Trice,
Washington.
Okay. My bad.
From
Sorry,
Washington,
my
yeah.
apologies, y'all.
He did.
I mean, if
But,
Michael Penix was on the board, they had Dallas Turner right there. They chose Michael
Yeah.
Penix. That's it.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely think that they're in my opinion, I think there's still some holes on that defense that we can expose offensively. Be able to probably put up some points. I kind of see this as a game that maybe they hang with us first half, late third quarter, and then Chiefs kind of do their thing and pull away everything in the fourth quarter. But still, always a tough matchup going on the road. Won't be an easy environment to play in. But looking forward to it, especially Sunday night in that beautiful, beautiful stadium. It's gonna be nice. So hopefully Chiefs go down there and do their thing.
Yeah, for sure. And the answer as to why Kirk is in Atlanta is a whole lot of Coles cash. That is the reason why.
Right.
Also, we did learn
A
today
whole lot
that
of guaranteed Coles cash at that.
yeah, that's a good point.
And his
they're-
wife from Atlanta.
Kirk
too.
Coles.
That helps. They're going to be inducting Arthur Blank, their owner, into the Hall of Fame or the Falcons Ring of Honor, I should say, when we end up going there Sunday night as well. So,
Ceremony.
CJ, tell me how you look at this matchup with the Atlanta Falcons.
It's gonna be a good matchup. Like DG said, Kirk Cousins is a major quarterback upgrade. It's probably easily the best quarterback they've had since Matt Ryan's been there. So you get some consistency. You get a guy who knows who's going to be there, can make all the throws, can run the offense that you ask. So if I'm Kyle Pitts, I'm thanking God every day. Definitely giving Kyle Pitts part of my paycheck because he's going to definitely get you a lot of money this year. If you're a fantasy, this is the year to draft Kyle Pitts, year 3, third of the chart. Bijan Robinson is going to see a lot of lighter boxes than he usually sees because he actually has a quarterback who can actually spread the field and actually make safeties back up. From a defensive standpoint, you got a guy like Drake London, who's a big receiver, big body, can go get it. Kyle Pitts is a mismatch guy, so he's going to create a lot of problems for your secondary. And then obviously, like the DG said, Bijan Robinson is just the ultimate weapon. When we think of like Christian McCaffrey, that next running back after him is Bijan, in my opinion. You can do everything. There's no weakness in his game. Catch the ball out of the backfield, get an open field, it's a wrap. Can run in between the tackles, outside. He's explosive. He breaks tackles, catches the ball extremely well. Can make plays in between the middle of the field. You can split him out flat and draw screens and throw him the ball and ask him to make plays that way too. So it's going to be a big task for us that week to try to get him on the ground. It's always hard to tackle that guy. But, yeah, from a defensive standpoint, we'll definitely have some opportunity to take advantage because their secondary isn't the best. I know they've had some corner rotation guys been coming in and out the lineup. I know A.J. Terrell didn't have the best year. I still think he was a solid year in my opinion. But with our new weapons, we know what happened last time we were in that dome, and Pat loves to throw the ball indoors. Usually tends to take the top off the coverage. So going into Atlanta, we're kind of bringing that speed back. Ironically, when we played there last time, Tyreek caught that big 80-yard touchdown from Pat. So now we're going in there this time, hopefully with Rashid, Hollywood, and Xavier all on the field together at the same time. It should be a fun, explosive week for our offense. I expect to score a lot of points that week too, given the fact that their secondary hasn't been that good. And they've struggled to rush the passer, given, like DG said, they should have took Dallas Turner, but they didn't. So the pass rush hasn't been the best over the last couple of years. And Jesse Bates is a big ad for them, like last year. So I think from an offensive standpoint, we can score a lot of points. It'll be a fun game. I think our offense will probably that'll be a game I'll probably take our points in the over and try to make some money off that. But our defense is going to have their hands full because Kirk Cousins is no slouch.
Over in that game.
Absolutely.
Patrick Mahomes in an indoor stadium.
With this speed, it's going to be like old times. So we know
Definitely
how that
slamming
goes.
the over.
DG, why would you ever want to take Mahomes out of his needed outdoor element in which so he can have?
You want to make a dome? Why would you want to have a dome?
Listen, man, with those weapons on that turf and indoors,
Good luck.
track meet.
Track
Good
meet.
luck.
It is.
All day.
It is important that obviously you mentioned this is early on in the season. We
Week
will
3,
see
so still
a
4.
pending Rasheed Rice suspension, and if he will be available
Maybe
for
here.
this game,
Maybe.
we will end up seeing if that does end up happening. Obviously, Charles Omenihu coming back from that ACL injury would be the other question mark, as we do expect Joe Tooney to be there from that standpoint. But I think you guys hit on it. I mean, look, what you're going to be looking at is this is a team that has a lot of different weapons. This is going to be a good test early on. You know, obviously the Bengals the week before are going to be a good test as well, but this is going to be a really good test of how well this secondary is looking post L'Jarius Sneed, of course. Like you mentioned, obviously Kyle Pitts, what he can give you from a mismatch standpoint. How much are you going to see those safeties on the field to try and match up with him? Obviously, Bijan Robinson out of the backfield, excellent running back, in my opinion, a top 3 talent at that position in today's game. They have the offensive line to run that type of offense. They want to get to 11 personnel, bringing Zach Robinson over from the Rams, certainly. That's what you've seen what Sean McVay does with the Rams at 11 personnel sets. And Drake London, Darnell Mooney, and Rondell Moore, that's why they went out and got those second 2 wide receivers to match with Drake London out there because they want to run more of those wide receiver sets. And so they're going to challenge you, especially on the outside, to say the least, running that McVay style of offense. And then on the defensive side, you know, they've retooled a little bit, added some young talent. We mentioned Braylon Trice, obviously. Lorenzo Carter was also out there. Arnold Bicchetti, a draft pick from them last year. We will see how those guys develop in addition to their interior talent as far as David Onyemata and Grady Jarrett are concerned. So I think that they are still weak at cornerback too. I think there are ways in which you can still get after them outside of Jesse Bates. What's going on? Are you okay? Did you?
Sorry, I'm watching the Royals game. Kyle Isabel
Okay.
just made a hell of a play. Sorry.
Kyle,
Izzy just made a true play. That's dope. God.
But yes, so yeah, and this is a really good team. I think, well, I wouldn't say a really good team. This is a good team. I think they will be a good team this year, and I look forward to the Chiefs having this little bit of a NFC test early on. But I completely would say I'm confident in the matchup, and from your standpoint, I do think that this is a team in which the Chiefs, especially when they protect Mahomes properly, can put up a lot of points as well. So looking forward to it, to say the least, down there in Atlanta. So right after, well, not right after, but shortly after, after a trip to the Chargers next week, the week after, I should say, week 4, going on the road, or I should say, hosting, my bad, at Arrowhead, the New Orleans Saints. They will be going, coming. I was kind of surprised that it's a Monday Night Football game, that they chose the Saints for the Monday Night Football game.
Yeah.
It's a little surprising, but Monday, so an extra day off, or extra day of rest, I should say. Being able to coming off of that Chargers game in between, obviously a divisional game, so it'd be fascinating to see from that standpoint if that's a little bit of help. But New Orleans Saints, this is a team kind of struggling post their Hall of Fame coach and quarterback, retirement, but just leaving the franchise. However, they did finish over 500 last year for all of Derek Carr's struggles. They were still able to get over 500. This is a team that has some holes in it, some aging players to say the least. They're kind of going through a contract thing with Alvin Kamara currently, but this is a team that still feels like it can hang around and be a middle of the pack team and possibly compete for this division. So when you look at the Saints specifically, obviously coming off of last year's, I'm sorry, just almost died there. Coming off of last year's 9-8 season, they kind of spent the top part of their draft capital in getting Thais Fuaga, which a much needed guy that can step in at left tackle. They need offensive line help. Obviously, Fuaga will help out with this. No other major offseason moves outside of signing old friend Willie Gay to a 1-year, $5 million deal to just add to all the former Chiefs that they have on their defense. Obviously, Tyrann Mathieu and Colin Saunders. Sorry, I don't think Passanio is not on the. Yeah, he is, unfortunately, but he did get hurt, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think they lost him for the season.
Yeah, it does sound like he's going to be done for the season. But outside of that, no major offseason additions for the Saints. They got Alvin Kamara, Jamal Williams at running back, Chris Olave, A.T. Perry, and Rashid Shaheed at wide receiver. Michael Thomas is now a free agent as we are post June 1. Outside of that, I mean, it's kind of the same team that you saw from last year, just with Willie Gay added and Tice Fuaga at left tackle. They didn't really add anybody too crazy as far as the other draft picks are concerned, outside of Kool-Aid McKinstry as well at cornerback. So from you guys' perspective, the matchup with the New Orleans Saints, anything really jump out to you from this standpoint?
No,
I ain't gonna lie, this could be a blowout.
I hate to be
I'm not even
disrespectful.
trying to be that guy. They're coming to Kansas City on a primetime game with Derek Carr. Y'all know how we play when we see Derek Carr.
Yeah. Welcome.
Well,
back
as long
to
as the refs ain't hating, but yes.
You feel me? No, Kansas City primetime Monday night. Derek Carr in the city. Old friend coming back. I mean, a lot of old friends in the building that night.
Boy,
Whatever the spread is,
he loves playing here.
I'm hammering the Chiefs on the spread, bro. That game could get real ugly real fast. Not gonna lie, that could get ugly really quick. Outside of Alvin Kamara, obviously they have he's obviously their number one weapon. It all starts when the ball moves with him. They have like Jawan Johnson who can make plays whenever Michael Thomas does play.
That's if he plays.
Yeah, it's like if he plays. Both of those guys have been injury concerned. It's just, I mean, I know they have what's 22's name? Rashid, not Rashid, but
no, Rashid Shaheed.
Rashid Shaheed, yes. He's their most explosive player. He can take the top off the coverage. They use him a lot of different ways. You put him in the slot. He runs deep overs, take play action shots. So keep his safety over the top for him. But we know who Derek Carr is. Know him. Nobody knows him better than us. When he sees pressure, he gets rattled. The Saints haven't been a great running football team since they had that running combo when they had Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara. So their offense was a struggle to watch last year. So coming into Kansas City for a Monday night with extra days to prepare, it's not going to be a good look for them. So I could definitely see that game getting ugly. But defensively, try to get some turnovers. That could be an anytime interception game, DG. Mark that on the calendar. Probably maybe two of them.
Derek Carr back in Arrowhead for sure.
That'll be a good option that week to definitely play the Chiefs fantasy defense. There'll be some good opportunities that week. Home game Monday night, juiced up early in the season. We're just coming off a couple of good wins, so that'll be a fun game for sure. I'm excited. That could be a lot of good money made on that one too. So
yeah, man. Like he said, outside of truly Alvin Kamara, I guess Chris Olave as well too. But I just think Derek Carr just puts no fear to my heart at all. Like he never has, never will. We've seen Derek Carr too many times in this stadium come into Arrowhead and just get utterly rattled. So I expect the same result, especially on a Monday night. I know Chiefs fans have been out in the parking lot most of the day drinking and getting pretty rowdy. I would expect it to be a pretty electric atmosphere for that game. So then defensively, yeah, the Saints just they don't have much that they probably scares me at this point defensively either. Cam Jordan's always been one of the main guys on that defense that makes the engine go. But seeing I guess an old friend in Tyrann Mathieu would be nice. See him back on the field again too. But as well as we all seen, Honey Badger's been aging over these last couple seasons or whatever. It's not technically the same player he was. No, it's probably still there mentally, but physically can't do some of the same things we see him be able to do. So, yeah, man. Outside of that, yeah, nobody really scares me. You gotta respect Marshawn Lattimore, but at this point, it hasn't been too many great seasons. Yeah, I don't even know if he's gonna be there by the time when we play them. So yeah, this is one of those games I don't like being that cocky Chiefs fans, but I don't see them losing this game at all.
It's either going to go two ways. We're going to beat them by 6 because we BS the whole game and let them keep it close, or we're going to
right. The Chiefs are good enough for that, to not play up, play a little down to their level or whatever. But this is if they come out and play, how we know they can play. This should be a 2-3 touchdown win for them.
Facts.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all. You look at what they kind of bring to the table. I still think that there's a lot of holes as far as the interior of their offensive line. This could be a very good Chris Jones game, in my opinion. I want to see him lined up against Cesar Ruiz all day, or Saliveri or McCoy. Honestly, just create those mismatches and let him eat. Obviously, you guys mentioned tight end isn't much of a concern. Obviously, Taysom Hill, Juwan Johnson did a appear to get hurt during minicamp, so we'll see if there's any update on him. Shahid is explosive. I like AT Perry and Olave, but this is less of a threat as far as the weapons are concerned than the Falcons will present. And I think that Kirk Cousins is better than Derek Carr. So the offense doesn't really concern me all that much. Defense, like we talked about, old names, but again, not really a great pass rushing team. They did add Chase Young. Actually, Chase Young was their big kind of offseason addition from that standpoint. We faced him in the playoffs. He did play very well, I will say, in the Super Bowl, give our tackles a little bit of issues. That could be something to watch for. Still would feel pretty good about our matchup on the offensive end, even as they add Willie Gay to Demario Davis for a nice little 1-2 punch at linebacker. I still think there's a lot to be had as far as their safeties outside of Tyron and their cornerbacks outside of Marshawn Lattimore, even though Alontae Taylor and Kool-Aid are out there. So I look forward to this game. I think the Chiefs end up winning this handily. I think it's a little bit of an easier game than the Falcons matchup will end up being, as you guys said. So we'll see from that standpoint. So moving on, and now we're on to the Super Bowl rematch. This will be Week 7, Sunday afternoon at Levi Stadium against the San Francisco 49ers, a Super Bowl rematch. Like I said, after the bye week in Week 6, we will be traveling to San Francisco to play a team that we have beaten in the Super Bowl twice now in this Mahomes dynasty. And this team did finish 12-5 last year. Obviously, was the number 1 seed, hosted the NFC playoffs. We're able to get to Vegas and played us till overtime, and in a game that is an instant classic simply for going overtime. That had numerous storylines as far as the overtime rules were concerned. That obviously ended with a Mecole Hardman catch for a Super Bowl winning touchdown. So as far as offseason, they did end up losing Chase Young. As far as that was concerned, they did bring in Leonard Floyd. They also signed Javon Hargrave as well. They've made some moves as far as some retooling of the defensive line. Nick Bosa is still there. They brought in Yetur Gross-Matos as well from Carolina. Also brought in Devontae Campbell to bolster what they already had at linebacker. Obviously, Dre Greenlaw tore an Achilles in the Super Bowl, need a little bit of help from that standpoint. They expect Talise Fuaga to be, or Talanoa Hufanga, my bad. I totally messed up that name. Hufanga to be back from as a safety from his injury that he suffered as well. They took Renardo Green, who was somebody that I personally liked at corner, out of Florida State, a physical corner. Offense is largely the same cast of characters. Obviously, Trent Williams as the headliner at left tackle. Not much to speak of as far as offensive line outside of that. They did end up drafting Ricky Pearsall to be their third wide receiver behind Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk for now. As Brandon Ayuk is going through a contract dispute currently. And we'll see what ends up being the results of that. Obviously, Brock Purdy coming into his third year looking to make a bigger impact. And I'd be remiss as a Mizzou fan if I did not mention they did pick up Cody Strager as a UDFA. And they also drafted Isaac Guerrendo out of Louisville as well. So that's kind of a rundown of the 49ers roster. Obviously, this is a team that is excellent as far as their roster is still concerned. A lot of the similar holes in their roster, I would say, still exist. So what are you guys looking at from the matchup, and specifically, what do you think will be a little bit different, obviously, than facing this team in San Francisco during the Super Bowl?
Yeah, man, this is one of those games.
The running back run got better.
Yeah, I got a question mark around just because, you've beaten this team several different times, twice in the Super Bowl. I think they're gonna be probably pretty motivated to beat you in this Week 7 game. I still expect the Chiefs to go out there and perform and do what they need to do or whatever. But yeah, this is one of those games I wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs walk away with an L, just because of just the pure motivation factor of you've kicked this team's ass for last couple of years. So I know they're gonna want their lick back. Obviously, they got all the weaponry in the world and on that offense, and we've seen how tough they've been to stop. Adding a guy like Christian McCaffrey two seasons ago now, has been tremendous help for what their offense is able to do. And I think that Brock Purdy has taken a step each year, him starting to kind of elevate his game as well too. So um, combine that with combine that with Kyle Shanahan and his play calling. It's always a tough matchup for Spags and them to stop. Um, but I just think the motivation factor for the Niners is gonna be it's gonna be top tier, man. Especially on that, I know that defensive side for the Niners is gonna be extremely motivated. I know those guys last year felt like they had the game plan to kind of stop what we were doing, in the Super Bowl or whatever, and then kind of I felt like when Drake Greenlaw kind of went down, that kind of turned that game around for us or whatever, and opened some things up for us or whatever. So having him back as well as adding Devondre Campbell in the linebacking crew, and then obviously having one of the best linebackers, or I think it's probably arguably the best middle linebacker in the league in Fred Warner. It's always a tough matchup combining that with
That's a
defensive
good
line
pickup.
also.
Yeah, too. Campbell was
Yeah,
an all-pro in Green Bay, so that's a good pickup.
right. And old friend Travarius Ward and Hafunga, and yeah, man, they got guys all around that defense, and I know they're gonna be highly motivated to go out there and beat us. Yeah, question mark around that game. Don't really know result. Hopefully the Chiefs can go out there and pull something out of a hat, but would not be surprised if we walk out of Santa Clara with an L.
That may be our toughest game on the schedule for sure.
Right.
Yeah, going on the road against the defending NFC champions, that would certainly qualify from that standpoint. Uh, I do find it a little bit interesting the way that they've kind of tried to retool. They've helped out the defensive line. I don't know if it will live up necessarily to what Chase Young was able to kind of do versus us in the Super Bowl.
Sound like a
And
wash.
about the same. But again, they added Hargrave, so we're going to end up seeing where exactly that lands from that standpoint. Obviously, last season as well. I think Devondre Campbell's a nice way for them to insulate themselves against, Drake Greenlaw, who may not be back for this game by this point, especially given it's an Achilles injury. I still think that their holes on the offensive line very much exist, even though they did draft Dominic Cooney, versatile offensive lineman out of Kansas. So we'll see if he's starting by this point. I would say right now, like your point was very well. I think this could be the most challenging matchup that we have on the entire schedule. This team presents a lot of challenges, and specifically Kyle Shanahan presents a lot of challenges. So I think it'll be a little bit of Mahomes has to put up a lot of points to win this game. Maybe a little bit of a classic back and forth, and obviously Fred Warner is going to be patrolling the middle of that field. But we've seen the result of Travis Kelce being able to beat Fred Warner in the past, and and we expect him to be able to replicate that for sure. That's funny, Ross. So yeah, those are my general feelings on the Niners, and we will go far deeper in depth, obviously, as the game weeks actually come up. We're just doing a little bit of an overview of the schedule from an opponent standpoint right now. But yeah, anything else as far as San Francisco 49ers are concerned?
Tough game.
I would pick the Niners with the spread. They probably gonna
I
cover
would
whatever it
I
is.
would expect that would probably be Tom Brady on the call for that one.
On Fox.
Yeah, it'd be Fox afternoon game.
Game of the week. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty tough.
That will be that we do expect that would be a standpoint. Tom Brady will be on the call for that. And also, like you asked earlier, we said it to start this podcast. Cut Isaiah Bucks. We all agree on that.
Real quick set.
And we will talk about Nico Remigio as we get closer to the start of training camp, and we do our 53-man roster prediction as well.
My guy Nico.
And that we'll be doing as a collective podcast. I will be probably posting my Kingdom Cast podcast or Kingdom Cast prediction for the coming out of minicamp roster that I look at right now as far as protection is concerned, coming up in the next week as well. So we'll talk a little bit of Nico Remigio, but that is somebody that I certainly have my eye on. I like Nico a lot. But it's a tough competition to get into that wide receiver room, to say the least. So moving on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Baker Bay.
Baker Bay.
Baker
This is a
Mayfield.
team that also finished over 500 last year at 9-8. Funny enough, we will be facing them in Week 9 again
On Monday night.
after that. Yeah, after that San Francisco game, going to Vegas on a Sunday, and then get a day off in between, or an extra day off, I should say, in between Week 8 and Week 9, as we come back home to face Tampa Bay again on Monday night football, which I again did not expect the two NFC South teams at home to be the Monday Night Football games, but here we are. And so that'll be a night game as well. Nice little primetime matchup between Tampa and the Chiefs. So obviously the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, an interesting squad. You can argue in transition, but they also got a lot of younger guys that they've been able to bring in. They're definitely far different than obviously the team that we faced last in the Super Bowl. Still headlined by Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. I did like what they brought to the table in Trey Palmer as far as the wide receiver core is concerned. They also drafted Jalen McMillan. Tristan Wirth did a heck of a job moving over to left tackle. Honestly, one of the best tackles in the game. Also drafted Grant Barton out of Duke in the first round. He'll be really good for them wherever they plug him in. That dude gets the job done no matter what, to be honest with you. I expect he will come out and play very well to start out. So it'll be fascinating to see from that standpoint. Nothing too much to report outside of that. Obviously, Baker Mayfield's still the quarterback. On the defensive side, a lot of the same things that you saw from this team kind of last year. I think that they did a really good job bringing in some young talent as far as Joe Tryon and Yaya Diaby. I think both of those guys had some solid years as young players. Obviously, Vita Vea still a massive force in the middle, and Levante David heading up that linebacker core. They did just sign Antoine Winfield to a big new deal to be, their headlining safety, but I still think that defensive backfield has a lot of holes in it. So when you look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, what kind of stands out for you guys?
Weapons.
Yeah,
Like, a lot of weapons. And they brought the OC from they got the OC. He came from I think he coached with McVay, I believe. He was on McVay staff. Then he was in college. I think Kentucky.
Yeah.
Am I tripping? I think he's on Kentucky staff. I'm not sure. I looked at that.
That is correct. He did come from McVay's vets. I have never heard of this dude.
He came back and forth. He was in college. He was with Kentucky. Yeah. He coached Levis. Then he went to LA. Then he went back. Now he's back in the league again. It's a whole thing. He's a younger guy, like D-Mac said.
He is.
I was surprised they got, because their OC took the Panthers job. So what was his name? Whatever that coach is.
Shane Waldron.
So yeah, Waldron. From Baker's standpoint, that's kind of sad because he had a career year under him. Obviously, they were one game away from going to the NFC Championship game with him. So they did a lot of good things last year. Baker definitely shocked me. I did not expect him to play that well. Played consistent ball, didn't really turn the ball over, made good decisions, distributed it well. It's going to be a homecoming for Rashad White. Shout out to KC Native, he coming back home. But it's a lot of weapons. This is going to be as far as like the NFC teams, like the Saints is like a different monster because quarterback play isn't good. Baker was really solid last year, so there's a team you can't sleep on. Mike Evans is a future Hall of Famer in my opinion, 1,000-yard receiver every year. Chris Godwin is don't slouch. Trey Palmer, like you said, and you draft Jalen McMillan. That's a lot of guys to get the ball to. Still got Cade Otton as well, a tight end, and like we said, Rashad White to do it all running back. So their O-line played well, even when they lost Jensen, their center, trying to replace him. Wars moved to left tackle flawlessly. So I expect that offense that'll be a good match. That'll be a good test for our secondary for sure. That's a lot of weapons to get the ball to. Now Baker on the road, environment, crowd noise, Monday night. Maybe we can get a turnover or two off of them, but that'll be a good test for our defense for sure.
I will.
I'll go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it's Dave Canales.
Dave Canales,
the offensive coordinator. Shane Waldron is now the Bears offensive coordinator.
Yeah, Dave Canales. No, I knew it was one of the coaches that left.
Yeah,
but it'll be a good to see. I could have. Where's Byron Leftwich? Was he not on the staff at all, or not at all last year? Is he just not coaching?
I haven't heard from him since Tom Brady left.
Yeah. I thought he was still like QB's coach or somewhere in the building. I guess he wasn't on.
He left when Arians was gone too.
He all did. Dang, I thought he was still in there somehow. That's crazy. Okay, but no, it'll be a good matchup defensively for us. I mean, for them going against our offense. They lost Carlton Davis. He went to Detroit. He signed that contract over there, so he's gone.
Yeah,
I believe Dean is still there, so I think he's now their new CB1.
That is correct. Yeah.
Obviously, they still got Levante David, one of the best linebackers in this era to do it. Devin White, who was another trade candidate, who may or may not be on that roster by the time we play them as well. Antoine Winfield, who just got paid a big bag. Shout out to him. He earned that money. He's one of the best young safeties in the league. So that'd be a good matchup for us as well. But I think we could take advantage of the secondary for sure. Losing a guy like Carlos. I know people kind of make jokes about him. That was arguably their best corner that we've seen since the Super Bowl era when we played him. So the pass rush is decent. Not nothing crazy like we saw in their heyday when they had obviously JPP and Sue and all those guys rolling in together. But Vita Vea is still there. Still a big boy. You got to be able to run the ball on him. And he said he's definitely a challenge to do it on. But overall, this defense is really nothing special. They can be beat. They gave up plenty of big plays last year. If you go in there and handle your business, this could be a game where we look well. It could be a high-scoring game for sure because they have so many good weapons. They can throw the ball all over the yard. So I can see that being a game where you take the over Monday night, high-scoring. But that'll be a fun game for sure. But I think we should come out on top because I just don't see Baker Mayfield coming in the Arrowhead on a Monday night rowdy. Like DG said, crowd noise, everybody turned up. I don't see him really doing too much. So especially when you're coming off of playing Brock Purdy the week before. So it'll be a good test for our secondary because, like I said, there's a lot of weapons to get the ball to. So that's a good fantasy game. That'd be a real good fantasy. There's a lot of players on the field that can touch the ball.
It'll be Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew the week before. We got the Raiders in between.
Oh yeah, the Raiders in between. Yeah, so it's a big quarterback play.
Yeah, and Godwin is the number 2.
Yeah, technically the number 2 for them.
Yeah, I mean Mike Evans. Both of those guys are really good. And I will say again, Trey Palmer flashed, and I like Jalen McMillan a lot coming out of Washington. So they like you guys have said, they got the options. K-Dot is a solid tight end too. Rashad White actually.
Ooh, okay, a little sneeze.
Rashad Wright was second in the league in rushing last year.
Crazy.
Yeah. Like that was a thing. But they also drafted Bucky Irving as well. So we'll see what that split ends up looking like. But weapons for operate in, like you said, different offensive coordinator coming in first time.
On the roster. Ooh, that running back room kind of nice. That's some good fantasy backs right there. I ain't gonna lie. All three.
It will be fascinating to see how exactly this matchup goes up. But yeah, DG, what catches your eye for this?
Yeah, man, I think this is out of the NFC South opponents. This is probably going to be your toughest game. The Bucks are my pick right now to win the NFC South. I just think that the way Baker looked last year, especially in that offense, there was a lot more cohesion. He seemed a lot more comfortable, especially throwing to guys like Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. Now you add in Rashard White and a guy like Bucky Irving as a weapon now too. And that offensive line I felt like played really up to par. The move by Worst to move from right tackle to left tackle and still be an All-Pro is flawless. It's crazy, yeah.
Insane.
So, I think this Bucks team is going to be a really tough challenge for the Chiefs. I think they're going to come in, extra motivated on a Monday night to beat you. But I also expect this to be a game where the Chiefs do take care of business. Especially coming off of probably what you said, it's the Niners and then the Raiders after that, or whatever. Like I said, if they drop one out in Santa Clara and then kind of have a tough game against the Raiders and come back home to play at home in front of fans, expect the Chiefs to be a little bit pissed off, and be ready to play with that extra day of preparation, that Andy Reid loves to have to get ready. But I think it's definitely a tough matchup. Wouldn't shock me if they drop this one.
Games.
We've seen stranger things happen. This game kind of reminds me of the Eagles game last year on Monday night. Chiefs kind of came out and was pissed off, and they looked good in that first half, and then turnovers and bullshit starts to happen, and you look up and you're walking away with an L. So wouldn't be surprised if that same is all kind of happens with Tampa Bay. But like CJ spoke to, getting Baker Mayfield in here on a primetime game. Hopefully, you can hope out that we get a couple turnovers off of him, and that really flips momentum in the Chiefs' favor. But yeah, tough game, tough matchup. And I as a Chiefs fan, I wouldn't take the Tampa Bay Bucks very lightly.
That would be a fun game to watch for sure.
I'm just trying to be real, man. Like it's
No, they got a Ross. They got a lot of weapons.
They got
Look at
a
this roster,
roster,
bro.
man. Like
Look at the
they're
running
a good
backs.
team.
Guys that can all
Yeah.
like Rashad can catch the ball. Chase Emmons
That's
can
not
catch the
gonna be an
ball.
easy
Bucky Irvin is
game,
a third
man.
down monster. Like all those guys can catch the ball in the backfield. So our linebackers are going to be tested because they know they're not going to just line up and run the ball on us. They're going to try to throw the ball. And obviously Mike Evans is a guy that can take the top off the covers. Chris Godwin's still getting open. Trey Palmer's a good third receiver. And they added Jalen McMillan. Like we all talked about him during our draft episode. So Cade Otton was a very productive tight end toward the end of the season. So they have 4 or 5 guys that can all make plays. And Baker Mayfield was solid last year. Now, will the new OC have the chemistry like he had last year? That'll be my biggest question because obviously we know that's the biggest thing when you're changing OCs, that ear in your head when you're calling the plays. Do you have that same flow that they had last year? Because Baker had a hell of a year. I can't even knock like DG said. I got to give him his credit. He went into Detroit and basically almost beat the Lions and almost went to the NFC Championship. He had a hell of a year. So if Baker can replicate anything of that, he can have another really good year. But no, it'll be a fun game Monday night.
You wish.
Hey Ross, if you want to go 17-0, I'm with you, buddy. I'm not knocking you, but
They're
all not going to be blowouts.
Fine, but
they're all not going to be blowouts. That's all I'm saying. There's going to be some dogfights in there, and this could be
the show is called
"Tell
the Truth" for a reason.
Do you want 17-0? Do you want 17-0? Do you want the 3-peat? Okay, you take your pick.
That 3-peat any day of the week.
So it'll be interesting though. I think that honestly, the theme now that you can look back on it, we have one more NFC opponent to go, but it doesn't really apply to them. But it feels like it's a NFC set of teams that, even though they're varying degrees of actually how good they are, question marks at quarterback. Derek Carr and Kirk Cousins and Brock Purdy and Baker Mayfield, like middling quarterbacks, not bad ones, but yeah. Really good weapon sets. I think that applies to all of them to varying degrees. Obviously, the 49ers being chief among them. But all of these teams have some very interesting weapons that can get the job done. Interesting defensive pieces that I don't think will lead to an elite defense. None of these pass rushes, I would say, strike the fear of God into me. Even as good as the 49ers can be at times, I still wouldn't say that. Again, it is worth remembering. We did face them without Joe Tooney at that time. So we'll end up seeing what that looks like. And question marks as far as offensive line is concerned. Not necessarily across it, but there are holes for each of those teams as well. So getting to our last 2024. Well, I don't want to be mean. Last 2024 NFC opponent, the Carolina Panthers, which will be Sunday. This will be week 12 after we go to Buffalo. We'll be going to Carolina to face them in a noon game, which is the Panthers. And Bryce Young in his sophomore season trying to, improve on what was a kind of a disastrous year, I'll say, to begin his career. They did try and get him some help, to say the least. They traded for Deontay Johnson from Pittsburgh. Drafted Xavier Legette early on in the first round. Late in the first round, I should say specifically. As they traded up to
the first round.
Yeah, they traded up to go get him. They drafted somebody that hurt DG's heart. They drafted Jatavion Sanders to be their new tight end. I think we'll end up starting. Also took Jonathan Brooks to see if he could take the job over from Mr. Chuba Hubbard. TG is going to be so conflicted in this game. I love it.
They're going to score.
Big time free agency additions and going out and spending $100 million for Robert Hunt, which will only serve to make Trey Smith a very, very wealthy man. Their next offseason, I should say. They hope to get, as far as the defensive side is concerned, some consistent, healthy play out of JC Horn, who's shown flashes of really good talent. Just got to stay healthy. Outside of that, the defensive back room is very, very, very suspect in my opinion. Okay interior, I should say off-ball linebackers of Shaq Thompson, Josie Jewell. Josie Jewell has been solid for Denver. They obviously signed him over there. They also signed Jadeveon Clowney, who had a really good year for Baltimore, but obviously won't be playing next to Justin Madubuike and using McDonald's scheme to his advantage out there in Carolina. They did end up trading away Brian Burns to the Giants, and they signed Derek Brown to an extension as well. So that's kind of an off-season review for this team that did end up going 2-15 last year. Again, disastrous year, especially given the fact that they didn't even have their own first-round pick. That allowed the Bears to draft Mr. Caleb Williams, number 1 overall. And so As far as this matchup is concerned, I mean, look.
I mean, spread DG. Let's go Chiefs minus
Yeah,
9.5.
yeah, man.
Let's go with
This is one of those matchups I'm not too concerned about. Panthers are still a very young team, still figuring it out. Still very young, still figuring it
They put
out.
together a nice coaching staff. I will say that. I do like the
You
staff
know,
they put together.
I love what they've done as far as for the future purposes of where they want to go at this point. But I still think that experience for the Chiefs kind of edges this game out for them. I don't expect the Chiefs to go down there and play terrible. Hopefully not.
This is one of our
But
noon games, but fellas, on the
yeah,
road.
nice little noon game. This is
Get you some good
kind of
breakfast, watch the
yeah.
game.
Feel like this is kind of a Chiefs ass kicking. It happens where Panthers just get taught a
Get your
couple
stats up game.
lessons.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you know, but love what the Panthers did this year as far as surrounding Bryce Young with a lot more weaponry. Just got to see the growth from that team as first. I don't believe they're going to finish 2-15 like they did
I
last
hope
year. I
not.
expect them to be a lot more competitive this year, especially with all those young guys, coming into the building ready to win, stuff like that. But I think experience for us outweighs, and Chiefs probably this would be another game that I feel like they should walk away 2-3 touchdown lead and
A lot
get
of
out
games
of
will
there,
do this.
out of Carolina.
Some good numbers. A lot of good. Panthers game is a good opportunity for numbers. Like
Yeah.
we said, the Raiders game is always going to be tough, but that's a good opportunity. That Saints defense, like we said, so Falcons defense. Yeah, there's a lot of outside of Denver trade away some pieces, so that'll be interesting because you got Denver at home, then you go to Buffalo. It's always a tough game, regardless of who they have. It's always a physical, emotional game. Then you continue to go to Carolina. So obviously, we'll be looking forward to that Raiders game at home on Christmas, or not Christmas, but right before Black Friday. So you don't want to be a look ahead. I think that could be a look ahead type of spot. Like you're so focused on the Raiders that you don't look past your opponent, like DG said. But that's a game where you could easily put up some numbers and get your numbers up kind of game. Because to D-Mac's point, they don't have a lot of talent. I don't know if they can protect Bryce Young. They did get him another weapon. Adam Thielen is still there. They retained him. I like that move because he was a safety blanket last year. Yeah, and they tried to run the ball last year with Miles Sanders. That was a fail. That did not work. Chuba Hubbard is still the other running back. So outside of that, I don't really know how they protect Bryce Young. Hopefully he can get the ball out of his hands quick. But that could be another game our defense could shine, get some turnovers. That's a definitely get your stats up kind of game. Not trying to be cocky at all, but just being realistic. So out of all the games on our schedule, fellas, that may be the least stressful one. That's the one where you could kick back, cook you something on the grill or whatever, DG, do your thing, run some errands, check your phone, come back. Chiefs should be up 14 zip, 10 zip, first half, something like it. So set your fantasy lineup and let it go. So that's that kind of game that week. That should do your errands week. So
yeah, that's fair. Well, it's tough. It's just tough. Like I agree with you guys from the standpoint. I understand what they're trying to do. They really need some better tackle play from their young guys and Ecom and Taylor Morton. Will they get? We'll see. But it's just the problems that this team doesn't present to us, given our talent. It's not something where we'll need any type of special playbook to beat this team. Kind of just to line it up and go get a game. As long as you make sure that Derek Brown is handled, and you make sure that Deontay Johnson isn't left wide open, I don't see this being any type of issue from that standpoint. This is just one of them games you got to get out of the way and make sure it's a win, make sure nobody gets hurt, and move on to next week.
Get your starters out there early, get them out of there by the 4th. Everybody goes home.
Oh, man. So that's an overview, of the Chiefs 2024 NFC opponents. I think we kind of went through it, a little bit of an understanding of where they had finished last year, what they had brought into their roster, and how exactly we're going to end up matching up against them from that standpoint. That was a really good podcast. Appreciate you guys. We'll be talking about the AFC opponents next week, and then getting to the divisional opponents the week after that as well. Training camp dates have been announced. We got that coming up. Like I said, going to be doing the roster predictions coming up here. Yeah, let's get to Negro Leagues.
Yeah.
We got. I'll be doing that roster prediction over there on Kingdom Cast. Yes, R.I.P. to Willie Mays, a go to baseball for sure. Negro Leagues alum himself. And we'll be looking out for some interesting things that Kingdom Cast will have coming up as well. Maybe even a brand spanking new intro for you guys coming up for the next podcast. We'll see what ends up happening. Anything else before we go ahead and get on out of here, man?
Happy Juneteenth. Support a black business tomorrow. Wherever you gotta go.
You off work, enjoy your day. If you're not off work, tell your boss it's a federal holiday. You should not be working. Get your day a PTO, whatever you got to do.
Support a black business.
Juneteenth. Stay black, people.
Right.
Stay black. Absolutely. Love to see it. Yeah. Enjoy the day off. Hopefully everybody got one, man. But without further ado, man, for DMAC, DG, CJ, dog, peace out. Tell the truth.
Yeah.